Hello, thank you for watching this video. I'm Echo Mendez for the Edina Sentinel and NemoNews.net. This is Lori Moots Claire. She is the administrator of the Knox County Health Department. We're just going to do a quick update on everything going on, COVID-19 related,
Right.
Knox County related. Okay, so first let's talk about the governor's order, the extension of the governor's order.
Right. So the governor came out yesterday and said that the order that went into effect, I believe it was May 4th, for 6-foot social distancing and then capacities for businesses is going to stay in place until June 15th is the next deadline. It'll be revisited at that time. But he felt like the social distancing, for the most part, was working across the state, and we should all just continue on with that. They also commented that it would give areas, because there is significant difference between different counties in the state, it would give people time to kind of all decide what they needed to do individually and work forward. So,
but for the state, on the state level, we're still rising in cases.
We are, but we have to remember we're testing a lot more too, and they're also doing this boxed-in testing strategy where they're hitting the big factories and the kind of identified populations to basically find it and shut it down before you have the widespread community issues.
In our small communities.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so for Knox County, how many tests have we had?
As of the record this morning, we've had 76 negative tests in the county that are on the records that I see. So we have jumped tremendously in the last couple of weeks. When we were actually trying to get people tested that were ill and symptomatic, we stopped at about 25, which was a little more than 0.5%. But now that people are beginning to go back for elective procedures like hips and knees and tonsils and things like that, most physicians and hospitals are requiring they have a negative COVID test first. So we're getting to see a lot more testing, and I think I mentioned that last time we met. I'm happy about that because it gives us some widespread kind of randomized testing that we can follow. But so far, all negative. Just under 2%.
Tests.
76 total tests. I did ask the question yesterday. We had a local health department call across the state with the Department of Health leaders, and they are doing some almost drive-through testing setups across the state, and they're picking out specific regions. And my question yesterday was, are we expecting some of that in our region? For instance, Knox, Scotland, Clark, Lewis, where we have had very little testing. And I'm told that it's being identified based on prevalence and need, and if we're going to get any, they'll let me know. So as soon as I know, I'll come to the public and give everybody a chance to sign up and be tested. And this will be the test for disease, not antibody testing, but test for disease. And, you know, I would hope that we'd have a significant portion of people, particularly healthcare workers, first responders, that would all come out and take advantage of that test because, as we know, you can have it, be spreading it, and not have any symptoms beyond thinking you have an allergy. So,
okay, so, and then while we're just talking about the governor's order and the extension of it, can you just talk about like how this order is enforced?
So the order is enforced basically back at the hands of local public health agencies, and we need to educate people, advise people, and then decide kind of what we have to go forward with. This is not about writing tickets and really getting people in trouble. It's about educating, advising, and helping us all do the right things to make sure we stay COVID-free. Essentially, we're still inspecting restaurants and grocery stores and gas stations. It's about time for my environmentalists to make another round. We try and do that once a month. And we're the only law with regard to our restaurants right now is that seating be 6 foot apart, so back to back of table seating, and that there be no community tables and no more than 10 people seated at a table, so no more than 10 seats at a table. Other than that, everything else is mitigating strategies that restaurants are asked to just think through and put in place to try and slow the risk or limit the risk. So we've seen some of the restaurants choose to not do condiments on the tables anymore because everybody touches. We've seen waitresses wearing masks. One thing that is kind of an issue, and I've been asked how businesses should enforce this, but you know, if the restaurants take tables out and they spread chairs out and they put things where they need to be, and we as a population go into these businesses and we choose to crowd up to another group, or we choose to go to the bar in between two seats, that is not going to be, you know, the restaurant owner can say, hey, you shouldn't do that. They have the ability independently to ask you to leave if they'd like to. They have the ability to call us to come intervene if they'd like to. But for the most part, it's
up to every individual.
It's up to every individual that goes into those businesses. And if you're asked and it's posted, if you walk in and tables are in a certain spot, it's because the restaurant owners want them to be there, and they shouldn't have to tell you not to do that. We're not asking them to throw people out. We're just asking them to set up as they should, and then we're asking their clients or the individuals that go into those businesses to respect the order and keep the distances, and, you know, help the restaurants do what they're supposed to be doing to keep us all well. So,
but as far as like, you know, we don't have any actual
ticket ability. So for people
laws
that
in place right now that basically are make it have some sort of a criminal consequence, like we saw at the beginning of this, there was criminal consequences for not obeying.
It would be civil, order. And it would come down to right now the consequences to businesses would be on orders written by us as we inspect restaurants. And then if we saw just blatant disregard for the order, and we had people actually sign their name to a complaint or call during something happening, we could pursue that civilly, but that's a long and drawn out process, and we don't want to have to go through that. We would rather just keep educating people, encouraging people, and see this. We've had a lot of.
You've had a lot of people get a hold of you to just get in contact and do some kind of planning and hazard mitigation for some of the events. Like, what kind of events are you talking about right now with different?
Historically, we've talked about the fact that we've been out to the flea markets and those kind of things. We've hit all the businesses here in town, but we've had the Hurdland 4th of July group call. I was out and met with their planning committee last week, and we've told them it's fine to go ahead with that, but we need some strategies in place to allow for that 6-foot distancing between families that are attending. You know, I was born and raised in Hurdland, so I know all about the 4th of July, and I know that people bring their lawn chairs, you know, and again, we need individuals to do the right thing here too. They can tell people to stay 6 foot apart, but if you walk into that park and put your lawn chair right by the other family, we can't really blame anybody but us as individuals for doing that, because we've been advised, we know what we're supposed to be doing. You know, if you're standing talking to people, standing in the parade, that's the big thing. You know, everybody turns out for the parade. Spread out. You don't have to be clumped together. There's many streets there in Hurdland that you can line up against. Spread out, you know, among families. Also the Tenderloin line, you know, when you're standing in line waiting, let's spread out. But they're talking about those things, and they're gonna make it as safe as possible. I know we talked about hand washing stations, enhanced sanitation.
They're going to have everybody bring their own chair instead of having like a seating.
The bleachers,
bleachers for seating. It'll be please bring your own chair and spread out. So
they are doing some great planning, and we as a population have to help those people out, because as I mentioned to them, a lot of things are canceling around us, which means if the weather's right, they could have a phenomenal crowd there at Hurdland, and we need to do our part to help that committee keep their volunteers safe. Many of them would be what would be considered a high-risk category, and they want to do this for the people and do this for the public, then we need to do our part to help them do it safely. So stay tuned to more information about Hurdland 4th of July, but I think they're coming along great with that. I've also talked to Knox City, I believe it's American Legion, about their annual fish fry, and there'll be more information coming out about that, but they also were very helpful in trying to keep, you know, the message going for the distancing. I think they're going to do carry out. I've spoken with some members of the 4-H Council regarding 4-H fair and the meals, and I think we'll hear more about that as time goes on. Edina citywide yard sales. We talked to City Hall, and I told them there's absolutely no reason they couldn't go on with their regular weekend yard sales, and we'll try and do some stuff on our social media page and we'd ask you to share it. It's essentially going to be vendor information, just like we'd use with the farmer's market. You know, things like if you're having a yard sale and you're sitting behind a table taking people's money, don't let them walk right up on you and stand over you and talk to you. You need to be standing when you interact with them, or keep them back further than just that short distance. That's one of the first things we did at the health department when we realized that COVID was going to be an issue, which we do it during the height of flu season too.
How to be safe,
Stand up.
yeah, how to have a yard sale safely. That would be, I mean, that would be super popular right now. Because
So we're going to get that information out to people, but so we're fielding a lot of calls. We're still doing a lot of COVID work. My planner and I had just an absurd level of overtime hours for March, and we don't do overtime, but we count it for March, April, and the beginning of May, because we are really trying to educate and advise. We've not had any positive cases in contact tracing here in Knox County, and I'm told by other counties that that's an overwhelming thing to do. So we have been fortunate that we've had to just quarantine the number of households we have, follow those, and take all this extra time to educate and try and ward things off. And you know, we're pleased with what we're seeing so far for Knox County, Missouri.
Thank you.
Welcome.
On that note, do you want to add anything else?
I can't think of anything. No, I think everything's going great. I guess one thing we didn't mention is our ongoing conversations with the school district.
The athletics, some of the athletics programs are...
They're going to open up, and we've given our blessing to that as well, that they can do small groups, socially distanced, let these kids get back to doing some of what they need to be doing to prepare for things in the fall, and have some of these opportunities. You know, we're very much right now about getting people outside, getting the kids away from the technology for a little while, you know, getting back to some semblance of what is normal routine for summer in Knox County, Missouri. And fortunately, we're able to do that here. Do know that cases are up all around us. You know, you're seeing that in the news. So Kirksville stood at 49 this morning, I think, which is significant. You know, somebody asked me if it was safer to go to Kirksville or Quincy to shop, and it's really one and the same right now.
That's interesting, because I was talking to the commissioners last Friday, and they were talking about how it was Friday, maybe it was Monday. The weeks are blending together. They were talking about how the tax revenue is up because people are just staying home more. They're buying
Shopping
more
locally.
stuff locally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, cases are on the rise regionally for here in this area. They are not for Knox County, but we know Sullivan County, Adair County, Monroe now has some cases. Lewis had some cases. So all the way around us, it's us and Putnam County,
Clark,
hanging out at zero.
Like all of our
It's perfect time to enjoy Knox
every
County,
that
enjoy
touches
social distancing.
Knox County has had a positive.
Yes.
Basically.
Go out and have fun with your friends and neighbors. Keep the 6-foot distances, small backyard barbecues. Do all those things you're going to do. Just do them with social distancing in mind. And I totally agree with Governor Parsons on that. I think social distancing is making the difference. So.
Well, we'll have to make the difference.
Yes, we have to make the difference. We have to practice that. That's right.
We will have to make the difference if we don't want to see more cases.
Right. We don't want to see a backset. I'm like every other parent out there. I'm ready. Get ready, Knox County R1, because my kids are getting dropped off in August. So, you know, we all want to get back to regular things. So keep social distancing.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to shut down this live stream for now. I'm Echo Mendes for the Edina Sentinel and NemoNews.net. Signing off for now.